Two-time World Cup winner, Springboks hooker, one of the most dynamic breakdown players, ball carriers in all of world rugby, and the unfortunate golfing partner of Bryn Hall. Malcolm, it's tough going when you get Brynner as a golfing partner?
No, I think he's been carrying me quite a bit, to be honest. Bryn's actually shot 78, 79 the past 2 rounds that we played. So I think he's carrying me a bit, to be honest.
How many balls were in his pocket?
That's a good answer. That right there is that's my partner. That's my partner, Jip. Don't try and get between us, mate. Don't try and get between us.
I'm just jealous, mate. I'm just jealous. I'd like to hang out with him every day to talk hooker stuff.
You couldn't tell, but we're told that you broke your nose yesterday. That looks straight as an arrow.
Yeah, I won't come any closer. It is a little bit skew, but the docs ended up straightening it a little bit. Well, it's a bit better than it was yesterday. Yesterday wasn't too bad. It's just a small little bone that was a bit skew, but it's all good. I think they've done quite a decent job of straightening it. It doesn't look too bad, I don't think. But yeah, just a bit of a head clash yesterday, but it's all good.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. We've been looking forward to having you on.
Some more than others.
Especially Jipper.
I'm head of your fan club of saying, get this man in a 2 jersey for 80 minutes. So I do want to go straight there. How do you enjoy that bomb squad role? Because you seem to relish and thrive in it.
It's a bit of everything. I mean, I suppose every player does want to start. I mean, as a rugby player, you want to be the best and give your best and obviously get yourself into that number 2 jersey. But I think obviously playing for South Africa, it's a different scenario. You're still representing your country, whether you were in 2 or 16 or if you're even just in the squad. So, yeah, the bomb squad is quite exciting. I mean, you got a couple of players coming off, obviously wanting to make an impact and change the game for the better. Doesn't always happen the way that we want it to, but it's a lot bigger than us, and we know that. You're representing a country, and we know what rugby does for our country. So doing it to the best of our ability and bringing joy and hope to people back home on a Saturday is a big thing for us.
With Rassie, you know, we talked around him a lot. We see him a lot around the Twitter. There's obviously a lot of stuff that he likes to put out there, more so to be, I guess, the shining light for them and take the pressure off you boys. What makes him so good? Was there anything in particular that you enjoy his coaching style that you think has had so much success with you guys winning 2 World Cups? I know Namo was there as well, but obviously Rassie being there for the last 2 World Cup wins.
But I think the transparency that we get as players is very open and clear messages. There's nothing done behind closed doors. And if you've got a question, you can walk up to him and ask him that. But I think just the way that he thinks outside the box, for me, his knowledge of the game is incredible. And yeah, man, just the stuff he does and the way he coaches, it's quite inspiring. And to see what he's done from 2018 to 2023 or 2024, it's absolutely incredible. Yeah, definitely probably the best coach that I've had.
Is he the brains behind all the innovation? I suppose we give him credit from the outside looking in, but, you know, like the Twin Towers throwing the ball over your head at maul time, or is that a coaching group sort of idea?
It's a more group thing. Obviously, Rassie has got his plans and stuff, and the nice thing about it is if different, whether it's a player or a coach comes with an idea, it's not just a decision made by one person. It's a collective sort of decision that's made by everybody if it's going to work or not, which is a good thing. There are obviously tweaks and stuff that are made, but it's not a move or something like that isn't just generated by one person. Everybody obviously buys into it and hopefully it works.
Jipper just referred to the Twin Towers, that double line-out you guys had against Australia where the ball got transferred off the top to another jumper. Do you sometimes sit at these team meetings when something like that comes up and you just laugh? You're like, are we going to do this?
Yeah, at times you want to, but then, you know, there's always method behind the madness, to be honest. So, yeah, you want to laugh, but then when you see it come off, you're like, okay, I see why it's worked. And why you were thinking that way. So, yeah, no, it's so like I said, it's thinking outside of the box. It's not something that any international team would do. And yeah, we just go along with it and we obviously try and execute it to the best of our ability.
Tony Brown has been a big part coming into the Springboks. We know him from New Zealand. He thinks about the game in different ways in his open-minded way of coaching. How have you found him? Because I feel like with him coming in, your attack has been a lot better with him being in the team now. I think the way that you guys are attacking with on the edge, you've obviously got your set piece. You're very dominant when it goes into 22 game line carries and being able to use that brute force. But it seems like your skill set has been a lot better with Tony Brown coming in. Can you maybe talk about what he's done for you?
Yeah, I think he's a great coach, and the way that he thinks about the game, especially attack-wise, is awesome. Giving the guys a lot more opportunity to express themselves. Not that we didn't have that in the past. Felix Strand was also a great attack coach. Obviously coached differently to the way that Tony coaches. But yeah, I think the guys have got a bit more ability now to express themselves and sort of use their strengths on attack with the way that he wants us to attack. It's obviously brought a different dynamic to the way that we do attack. But yeah, I think also thinking outside the box with certain things and giving guys that opportunity to use their circus act, if I can put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been absolutely awesome to see the way that it's evolved as well.
You guys are in a golden age of South African rugby, and I know I can see you smiling, and it's tough for me to see that as a Kiwi, but you did debut in 2016, and, there was a few, I guess before the success of 2019. Can you pinpoint where there might have been a meeting or a game or a campaign where it kind of started to where you guys were obviously winning 2 World Cups in 2019 and 23, but can you remember where you felt there was a change and you guys were, I guess, as dominant as you guys are right now?
Brilliant. I don't think I can pinpoint one specific thing or one specific tournament. I mean, obviously you go into every phase, whether it's the incoming series, the championship, or the end of your tour, you go into all of that wanting to win the game. You could sort of feel the way the team was changing for the better and getting into the right sort of space, doing the right things from, say, 2018-ish going into 2019. I don't think a lot of people gave us a chance in 2019 to even make it to the finals.
If you look at both times when you won it, you did drop a pool game. Was that I suppose, a motivator, or did that change or reshape the way you guys focused after that?
Yeah, it definitely changed after we had lost those games. 2023, I'm not sure what it was like because I got injured after the Scotland game, so I headed back home. But 2019, after we had lost to the All Blacks in the opener, there was definitely a change, obviously knowing that we had to win the last couple of group stage games by a certain amount in order to make the playoffs. There was a form of motivation knowing what you needed to do to get to that point. Like I said, 23, I wasn't there after that Ireland loss. But I definitely know in 2019, there definitely was, after that All Black game, like a bit of a motivation of what we needed to do in order to get into the playoffs.
Sometimes the best gifts come poorly wrapped.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just the way that it played out.
When you went home, Malcolm, and it was horrible for you that you missed the rest of it, Dion Ferree was then tasked with playing a bit of hooker and a bit of, flanker and whatever else. And it seems to be a thing that happens that Rassie and his coaching staff are big on, is that understanding that if you're going to stack the bench with forwards, you need backs who can play all over the place, forwards who can play all over the place. Have you ever been part of those discussions, like the opposite, where you're not a hooker? And where have they looked at you?
No. I haven't really been considered anywhere else, to be honest. I know I'm just going to stick at 2. I don't think they want to put me at lock or loose forward. I don't think it's going to benefit them in any way. Or on the bar.
I don't know. I think you go pretty well at 7.
Nah, it's never really been a discussion. Obviously, you got your more dynamic guys like your Kocha Smiths, your Peter Steph Toys, those sort of guys that can cover wing and stuff. But I've never really been part of the conversation and moving from 2 to a loose forward or into the backs at all, which I'm actually thankful about. The amount of running those backs he do is actually eye-opening.
When you said, I suppose, you're not going to be in discussions other than 2, for all the young hookers out there, I suppose, what would be, obviously throwing into the line-out and scrummaging's a prerequisite, that's a big rock, but I suppose who influenced you or when did you start growing that wider width of your game with ball in hand, but also those defensive breakdown efforts?
I really enjoyed the way that, obviously growing up, my idol was, when I moved to 2, I looked at guys like John Smith and Bismarck du Plessis. I really liked the way they played. Obviously, Bismarck was a menace at the breakdown as well. That's just another attribute besides his set piece that he did really well. So I looked at players like that. Obviously, when I first moved to Hooker, it was a difficult thing for me to focus on the general play and the set piece. I really wanted to execute the set piece, and that would generally have an effect on my game if it wasn't going well. But I sort of got to a point where I was like, well, set piece is set piece. If it doesn't work, I'm not the only factor in the set piece. I know the throwing, the scrumming obviously I'm in the middle of it. But I looked at guys like Bismarck and John Smith. They were sort of my idols growing up, especially when I moved to 2. But the other attributes I sort of just started working on after training sessions, the breakdown stuff. Obviously wanting to have dominant carries and dominant tackles. But an X factor thing that I picked up, obviously watching Bismarck, was the amount of pressure he put on attacking breakdowns, and was something that I wanted to sort of improve on and get better at.
What's the art behind that? What are the things that you've picked up that have made you so good at it?
I think it's a timing thing and actually just realizing what's in front of you. There's basically a split second or two that you have to read whether you can go into the breakdown or not. I honestly still make mistakes in going into the breakdown when I probably shouldn't, and when one of our guys is laying on the wrong side and giving a penalty away for it. It's still something that I'm working on and trying to get better at. But there are split-second decisions where you have to make that decision, and I tend to more than likely bite instead of sometimes staying out when I should stay out.
We had Samasoni Taukiaho on the show last year, and he was talking about you. I mean, he's a big human being himself, and he was talking about you and heading into a breakdown and how you were over the ball and he just couldn't move you. Is there a training that you do that, young players around could know about that can help you get to that position where you are just absolutely rock solid over the ball? I'm not going backwards.
Obviously the gym side of things, but I think it's more your body positioning and the width of your feet and your center of gravity being you're being in a strong position. Obviously, if you lean too far forward, you're going to fall over the breakdown. If you lean too far back, it's easier for guys to clean you out. So getting that balance in between, for me, is quite important. My feet positioning, making sure that I'm not too wide and not too narrow. You've got to sort of find that sweet spot. And another thing is sort of keeping your chest over the ball as long as possible, not being able to get lifted up. If I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, chest as close to the ball as possible for as long as possible. I know it's not always possible, but those are the 3 sort of things that I look at: where my feet are positioned. I'm not leaning too far back or too far forward, and obviously trying to keep my chest as low to the ground as possible or as close to the ball as possible.
I agree with your partner. I guess the thing for us in the moment in New Zealand is we don't pick from overseas. But you guys have traditionally, for a long time now, been able to play in different competitions and be able to select from abroad. How do you find that? Do you find that it helps you to be able to get away from, I guess, the hustle and bustle of international footy, to come to Japan, play a different style? A lot of players are able, financially, it's a lot more beneficial to be able to go over there to Japan or anywhere else in the world. But do you find getting that feel to play in different competitions actually does help you at international level, being able to play different styles?
I think it does, because you got players coming from everywhere. You got obviously South African-based players. You got guys based in the UK, and you got guys based in Japan. Different styles of rugby all over the place. I don't think one country plays the exact same style of rugby. So I think bringing that all together helps quite a bit. Obviously, you've got your general overview of the way that you want to play the game as a team, but there are different things that you pick up. Obviously, maybe somebody learned something in the UK that might be able to benefit the Box, for example, or something that happened in Japan, or you learned in Japan. You can take that back and learn from that as well. I'm not saying it's always the case, but obviously you learn different things playing in different countries and playing different styles of rugby. I think it has been beneficial, in my personal opinion.
In terms of the pathway system, losing a lot of that experience in and around these squads for the younger players coming through, do you think that impacts it, or do you think it puts them into the fire, so to speak, earlier so they grow? Because the Curry Cup product's still pretty strong.
I think it exposes a lot more younger players to a higher level in terms of, like, they're not playing under 21s or under 19 rugby. They sort of being put into the senior sort of setup and having to play against guys that have played Super Rugby and have played possibly international rugby. It gives them that experience, but also being in the broader squad of a URC, for example. I'll take the Sharks, for example. You've got guys like Evan Hetzebek, you've got Bongi there, you've got Lucanio, you've got Sia there. And I think those younger guys can learn from those senior guys. And obviously giving them the opportunity at Currie Cup, I think, gives them a bit more experience and not just being thrown in the deep end once they sort of developed a bit more. So I think being in those squads is a great thing, and learning from the more senior guys is good for them. And I think exposing them to that senior rugby is also good, because the only way you learn is by playing. And being in those teams and playing against other teams that have got a lot of experience as well. The only way you build experience is by playing. So I think it does benefit.
I suppose when you made your decision to go to Japan, and I mean, admittedly, you were already a Springbok who was established. Did you have to show a lot of faith in the system? Because obviously the coaches aren't going to be able to see you week in, week out. There's probably less control over your training methods and your workload and all of those things that might have happened if you were still with a South African team at that point. Was that quite a leap of faith from you?
I think yes and no. Rassie's always sort of said, if the player's good enough to play, we'll select him. So I think they do get together. They obviously watch a lot of rugby because there's a lot of players playing all over the world, and they obviously are watching your games. They do get the games and analyse and stuff. So I think it was a leap of faith, but knowing that if you are playing good rugby, you're also eligible to be selected.
Do you, as an individual, you've achieved a hell of a lot. What's left on the checklist, or what are the goals in the coming years? Obviously, there's another World Cup, but is there other parts of the world you want to play in, or is it just targeting that World Cup?
At the moment, I'm pretty happy where I am, to be honest. But obviously, goals, I'm not trying to think too far ahead at the moment. I've got goals for this year, and obviously the first thing is obviously applying myself here in Japan to the team, and then hopefully when it comes to that June series, hopefully make that squad to play for the Boks again. That's the biggest honour and privilege for me is to represent my country. So every single year, that's the main goal for me. Work hard so that I can try and get myself into that squad and hopefully play.
And a 2-test series against New Zealand in New Zealand. It's not something that, I don't suppose that's come across in your career at all, is it? That must be something quite special.
To play New Zealand twice in New Zealand is big. Yeah, like I said, I'm not looking too far ahead. I'm just trying to apply myself now. I mean, it would be hell of exciting to be able to be on that tour and obviously play there. I think it's going to be a huge 2 tests.
Can I take you back maybe to 2018 quickly? Because were you here for Wellington for that game? Because that seemed like a landmark game. It seemed like a game that was so incredibly important to a Boks side that had copped 40 and 50 points in the previous years to come to New Zealand and win like that. And it sets you on your way in some ways. Do you look back at that and think, wow, that was a landmark moment and that's the kind of thing that we can achieve this year?
It definitely was a landmark moment. I don't think we had beaten New Zealand for a while before that. So it was something that we want to achieve. But we know playing New Zealand in New Zealand isn't easy. It's never an easy game. It's always a tough game. So we're obviously going to have to work hard, and it's always tough. And I mean, I don't know when last the side or Springbok side has beaten, or if they have beaten the All Blacks at Eden Park before. I'm not sure if you guys know those stats. I don't, but I know that it's been quite a while. So yeah, it definitely is something to look forward to, and a challenge that I think we all look forward to.
Well, I tell you what, in that Eden Park week, if you're looking for a high handicap, plenty of stable foot point golf partner, I'm your man.
I have to get rid of Brenny then.
Yeah, Turpin, mate. Okay, one last thing before we go, mate. We've got to find out, before you come to New Zealand, I know you debuted against Dane Coles, which probably is quite a lippy experience. Who is your toughest opponent? Actually, did you get a bit of lip from Dane Coles in that first test match?
100%. I don't think he lets anybody off hook.
How did he greet the rookie?
Just mouthy on the field, as always. But yeah, a lot of good banter on and off the field, but good experience, man. He's a great player, and it was awesome, obviously, to play against him.
Would he be up there with your toughest opponent? Who's your toughest?
Augustine Creevy, Montoya is good. Playing against Bongi and some of the South African hookers, obviously when back in Super Rugby was really tough as well. I don't think I can pinpoint one exact person. Cody Taylor's brilliant. Obviously Dame Coles was tough as well, and Maldi. But yeah, man, I can't pinpoint one person, but yeah, there's obviously a good few from New Zealand, South Africa, and obviously Argentina as well that have put me under a lot of pressure. So yeah, it's been tough.
Well, thank you very much for your time, mate. And thank you to Brennan for bringing him on the show.
I'll get you next golf round, partner. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for it, mate. Thank you very much.
Just a nice coffee there from your fancy machine at the clubhouse will be good, bro. Sorted.
You're a good man, Melky. No problem. I'll get you one on Tuesday.